What is up, Sidearm Gaming Nation, and welcome back here. We are back after a long hiatus, but we are back here to talk some Steelers football. They just played their Hall of Fame game against the Dallas Cowboys last night in Canton, Ohio, on Thursday night on national television to open up the football season and welcome everybody back. It was definitely a really good showing from a lot of guys, so we're going to go ahead and talk about some of what we saw last night and really see how we feel about some of those guys that played. Of course, for the Steelers, you got guys like Dwayne Haskins, Najee Harris hitting the field for the first time. A couple of other rookies really getting their first taste of NFL action here for the first time. So it was a really exciting game to watch. Some really good things to see. So we're going to discuss our thoughts here on the Hall of Fame game and on the Steelers roster as where we stand a couple weeks before the regular season against the Buffalo Bills. So getting right into things, starting off on the offensive end, the starters came out. No Juju tonight, no Ben, so a couple of notable names. But Mason Rudolph started under center. Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson were out on the field. James Washington mixing in as that wide receiver 3. Najee Harris came in as well. And this group played collectively for about a quarter and a half. Maybe the coaches didn't feel like they got enough long drives there in the beginning of the first quarter, and then Dallas had the ball a bunch as well with, first possession for the Steelers. A couple nice plays, Najee, a couple nice runs. He really ran powerful tonight. Showed, his pedigree, his first-round pedigree for sure. Making some nice cuts, running with power. The first man never brought him down, always pushing the pile forward. And a couple nice runs there to get his career off to a good start. Also had a nice pickup in pass pro and made a catch out of the backfield as well. So, doing all the things that Pittsburgh hoped he would do coming into the team this offseason. Under center, again, Mason Rudolph. He didn't look bad. He made some accurate throws. He also had one bad, inaccurate throw against James Washington on 3rd and 12. It was about 2 yards behind him on a shallow crossing route. That's not something you want to see. But hopefully the timing comes, and hopefully he doesn't have to see the field at all this season, and because that means Ben's played well and he's been healthy. So that would be the most ideal situation. So it's not the end of the world. He did connect on a really nice pass to Chase Claypool down the left sideline early in the second quarter because the starters were still out there by the second quarter, which was kind of surprising to see. But they were all out there. He made a nice throw. Chase Claypool with a nice catch falling to the ground, half dive, half fall. Kind of wrangled it in with one hand then two, and it was a really nice play. Probably landed on the ball, so Chase was down after the play. Kind of knocked the air out of him, probably hurt his ribs a little bit. But his day was done after that. He got up, he walked around fine. He was jumping and screaming on the sideline, Claypool that is, after the game. So he's definitely okay. And he had a nice showing there, 3 catches, like 60 yards on the day. Offensive line, missing a couple of key guys there. No Dotson, no Chukwuma Okorafor, no Zach Banner, but Kendrick Green did get a lot of playing time there, and so did Trey Turner. So getting those 2 guys on the field, especially Kendrick Green, was definitely really good for the rookie. He was pushing the pile. Didn't make any mental mistakes. No bad snaps. The fumble early in the game was on Mason. Tried to do a jet sweep there to Chase Claypool, and the execution was just not there. Ball was late getting to Claypool. Mason, just turned around a little slow to get that handoff, and the ball was on the ground. Micah Parsons for Dallas Cowboys did recover, and he was flying around the field. You can definitely tell his first-round pedigree, big, strong, just freak athlete, with his huge frame and his scary speed with that huge frame. So he looks like he's going to be a playmaker. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Ryan Shazier, a young Ryan Shazier, coming out a couple of years ago, kind of the same build as Devin Bush, Devin White, maybe even a little bit bigger, a little bit faster. I'd have to check the measurements, but it sure did feel that way, at least through the eyes. That was kind of the story of the first half offense. Haskins came in midway through the second quarter, and right away you can just tell the arm talent and arm strength difference between him and Mason. Dwayne's he's got zip on the ball, man, and he definitely showed it. His numbers don't pop off the page, and if you were a casual fan, you would probably say, he was average, which, I think at the end of the day, he was. The status quo maintained that Mason's the 2, Dwayne's the 3, and Dobbs is the 4. We'll get to Dobbs later here in the show. But, Haskins was playing with the backups, really. And his wide receivers weren't doing him any favors. Like 2 or 3 drops from his guys there. One of them might have been able to squirt into the end zone if he caught the pass cleanly and turned the corner. The ball was low on that end zone pass, but definitely catchable. It hit Ray McLeod in the hands. So would like to see that play made. But he had a lot of off-platform throws, that weren't perfectly accurate. He had a lot of rollouts, a lot of throws on the move. So, first game under the lights for him. I'm sure he always shines in training camp with his physical attributes and not being able to be hit as a QB. So trying to see some of those things translate over to the preseason and onto the field. He didn't explode by any means, but you could just tell the arm was there. He did have one deep pass attempt to, I believe, Isaiah McCoy. And, a little deep left, it was down the left sideline. He put it where only his wide receiver could get it. Didn't look like Isaiah McCoy really saw the ball. And ended up kind of over his head and over his left shoulder. So, if Claypool's out there, he probably adjusts to that ball and at least gets his hands on it. I don't know if he comes down with it, but Isaiah McCoy didn't even go for it, it seemed like. The arm talent's there. Wasn't terrible decision-making either. He was throwing to open guys. It was just kind of the ball placement and then drops by his receivers weren't helping him. But he also had some scrambles, showing off his mobility a little bit. Definitely more than Mason and Ben. Not on Dobbs' level, but he's got a little bit of legs to him. So that was Dwayne Haskins coming in. Some other notable players, Kalen Ballage ran with great power. He got speed around the corner a couple of plays. He looked really impressive to me. He did score a Steelers touchdown there early in the game, or early in the second half, or it was late first half. Either way, ran it in from about 6 yards out while Kevin Rader put a guy on the ground to clear the way for him. So that was definitely an impressive play. Ballage always had that short yardage pedigree, back in his playing days with Miami, but definitely impressed me. And with Snell not out there, he did get a lot of those number 3 carries behind Anthony McFarland. McFarland was the number 2 on the night. And, you could see his speed, his ability to make plays in space. His ball carrier vision wasn't the greatest, but again, that's a guy that, he never got a preseason last year, you got to think too, and, never got a ton of regular season action. So he's just a guy that's been, slowly getting those reps and getting acclimated. So this is still his first preseason. Same with the other guys like Claypool and Antoine Brooks, but we'll get to Brooks later here in a little bit. But, so Ballage definitely impressed. McFarland could have had a better night. Didn't have any explosive plays or anything. And then Jalen Samuels came in with the 4s along with Josh Dobbs late in the fourth quarter. And, Samuels was kind of the same old guy. Didn't impress too much against the 4s. Granted, he also had a 4th-team O-line in. But Josh Dobbs under center did impress. He did have a really good night. You could tell his accuracy has improved over the years. And he was just making really good throws. And, just overall a really good game. You can tell that he's a veteran now. He's not a young guy. And he's going to push to stay on this roster. I don't really know how it's going to happen because I think 1, 2, and 3 are locked up regardless of Dobbs' performance as the number 4. I think Mason goes in. As things stand right now, granted we still have 3 more preseason games to play, but as things stand right now, Ben's obviously the number 1, Mason the number 2, Dwayne the number 3, and Dobbs the number 4. I would have it Dobbs the number 2, Haskins the number 3, and trade Mason because I just don't believe in him. But that's just my personal opinion. Don't take that to the bank. But yeah, Dobbs played really well. I'm not sure if the team has the capability to keep him on the practice squad. I think they do. And that is probably where he's going to end up because he's obviously a valuable asset to Big Ben on the sidelines during the regular season games. He's always going over there and talking to him and whatnot. So he'll definitely be around. He just won't be on the field, which I think he should be as the number 2 QB because, again, we saw it kind of week 17 last year against the Browns. When Mason started that game and Dobbs was the number 2, he could come in and make some plays using his legs. So I think he's a valuable asset to this team. I just don't think he's going to get that opportunity. So it's kind of unfortunate. However, we'll see as things move on. Next year, if Ben retires, those are probably your 3 QBs, Mason, Dwayne, and Dobbs. And Mason's beat out Dobbs before, but you never know. That's a lot of future speculation there, and if another QB comes in and whatnot. But I'm just saying I was impressed by Dobbs. I think he should get more opportunities ahead of Mason. Dwayne's good in the number 3 spot to be kind of that developmental guy, being that he is so young and so fresh to the league still. So that's how I would run things, but I am not in charge in Pittsburgh. So if I was, maybe we'd be talking differently. But anyways, moving on to the defensive side of the ball now. A couple of notable guys. Alex Highsmith, definitely going to make a year 2 jump. He had a very impressive sack on an inside spin move that was just clean, crispy, speed. He is good. He's going to make a huge step going into next year, or this year rather. And opposite of T.J. Watt, I think those two are going to do some serious damage. Cassius Marsh was operating as the guy opposite of him, so kind of that number 3 dash number 4 outside linebacker opposed to Melvin Ingram. I don't think Melvin played tonight, whether he had an injury or was just resting, whatever. But Marsh looks rather impressive as well. Definitely playing hard, getting into the backfield. He made a strip sack there in the first quarter. So both Marsh and Highsmith played really well on the edge. Cornerback, no Joe Hayden tonight, and the other secondary, no Minka, no Trey Edmonds. So, a lot of different faces out there. I think Killebrew and Norwood started at safety, James Pierre, and kind of a revolving door with Mark Gilbert and some other guys on the other side. But Pierre, a really strong night, broke on the ball a lot, was making a lot of plays. If the guy did catch it, he made the tackle right in front of him. So really solid night from James Pierre. Antoine Brooks, the starting slot corner, didn't do anything wrong in my opinion. Had a couple of nice run stops there. We would blitz from the slot, and he kind of ran down the line and made the play coming from the back side. So that was really impressive from the kid. And we'll just have to continue to see it play out between him and Mollett. I think he has the edge over Mollett. When Mollett came in the game later on, he was letting up some plays and everything, but I definitely think he has the edge in the slot. Cam Sutton was the other guy that was out there tonight. It's just rather do they want to keep James Pierre on the field on the outside and have Cam Sutton on the shift him to the inside with Joe Hayden on the other side, or do they keep Cam Sutton and Joe Hayden on the outside with Antoine Brooks Jr. in the slot? So it's kind of at this point it's a battle between Pierre and Brooks as opposed to Brooks and Mollett. That's just how I see things. How do they want to run it? I know they want to have Cam Sutton on the outside, but James Pierre is playing really well. Undrafted guy last year, kind of making a name for himself. So we'll see how that continues to play out. From the linebacking core, I wasn't super impressed tonight. Robert Spillane looked kind of slow in liability and pass coverage. He's obviously a good run stopper, and with Devin Bush out there, it won't be as big of a deal. But he did get exposed tonight in the pass coverage. Ulysses Gilbert III started next to him. He could have played a lot better. Just one notable play that sticks out to, I think, everybody that was watching. It was 3rd and 12. Dallas tight end makes the catch about 5 yards short of the first down marker. Gilbert is there, wrapped around him, and just falls off the tackle. The tight end squirts up the middle and gets the first down. On 3rd down, you can't have plays like that happen. If you got the guy wrapped up, you got to get him to the ground and get your defense off the field. So definitely not going to be a good day in the film room today for Ulysses Gilbert III. Definitely could have played better. So we'll see how that plays out. Usually wasn't a problem of his tackling, but First game for everybody. It's not going to be perfect, so you can't expect everybody to be perfect. Guys that came in later in the linebacking core, Buddy Johnson played really well. He blew up a screen, was all over the field making tackles. Off the edge, Jameer Jones was another guy. Quincy Roach got a sack. D lineman, nothing really stood out to me hugely. Isaiah Buggs, he was playing well. He did get one penalty on a roughing a passer, penalty that wouldn't have been called 5 years ago. So take that one with a grain of salt. I guess it's called now, so you can't do it. Hit with the crown of the helmet and everything. But and then in the secondary, Steiner made a good interception. He was making a lot of plays on special teams as well. Shakir Brown was making plays on special teams. Lamont Wade was out there doing his thing. Trey Norwood was around the ball a little bit. However, he looked very soft in tackling, so that would be something he needs to work on. He needs to throw his body around a little bit. He looked very passive and in attacking the ball carrier. And then I'm sure I'm missing a couple names. I think I said Shakir Brown there and special teams. And then Killebrew was definitely making plays, made a lot of tackles. He's going to be a nice asset to the special teams. And you might be that in the running for that third safety spot, depending on how things kind of play out. Steiner did play well when he was out there. So we will see. Denmark made a long pass break up there as well late in the game. So overall, we learned a lot about our Steelers last night. I think it's going to be a good season. Again, a lot of these guys we saw play last night aren't going to be on the field come week one. A lot of them are. I'm talking about, James Pierre, Sutton, Najee, Kendrick Green's probably your day one starter at center. Trey Turner, obviously your starter at right guard. So there were some faces out there that were getting some good playing time to prep for the season. And then, of course, we were missing our stars, the Jujus, Joe Hayden, T.J. Watt, etc., the really playmakers there of this team. So overall, wasn't too bad. Definitely impressed with some guys, wasn't impressed by some other guys. We saw kind of the QBs play out, which I think is what everyone was really wanting to see, along with Najee Harris getting some powerful runs there. So overall, a good night for the Steelers. And we will look forward to the next one. I don't know when they play next. I'll have to check my notes, but all in all, looking forward to the season for the Steelers. Got off to a nice start with a win over the Dallas Cowboys in the Hall of Fame game. And, of course, a lot of Steelers getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend. So shout out to those guys. Really good moment for them. And that was kind of the podcast slash show. We're going to wrap it up here. So thank you again for listening. If you made it this far, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. If you're on any other podcast network, such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever, be sure to like and follow along for future episodes of the Steelers Sidearm Report. And we will get back to you next time. But overall, thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy a great weekend. And as always, go Steelers.